أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to our class today, everybody. Jazakumullah for joining the class on time. We will begin with our opening prayer. So let's have a student to the mic for that. Can we have 2562 to the mic, please?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well. Jazakumullah for asking. So let's start with Dawood. So please repeat after me. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Good. And could you read the translation before we move on?
I seek refuge with Allah from Satan, the rejected.
Good. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Good. Translation?
In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful.
Good. Rabbi allimni ma huwa khayrun indak.
Rabbi allimni ma huwa khayrun indak.
Good, well done. And the translation, please.
O my Lord, teach me what is best for me in your knowledge.
Good. Where's this prayer from?
The Tazkira.
Tadhkira. Excellent. Well done. Jazakumullah for reading that for us today. Allah Hafiz for now. I'm sure you're all following the class rules and etiquettes, but just as a reminder, please make sure that you've done wudu, you're wearing clean clothes, heads are covered appropriately, and you're sitting in a nice and quiet place with your parents nearby. And as always, please ensure that you are logged in with your correct IDs. Jazakumullah. Just an announcement, we have been announcing this week. So once again, that on Saturday, 22nd of October, inshallah, we will have a Jalsa Sirat al-Nabi, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So that's 4 p.m. on Saturday, 22nd of October. And in that Jalsa, we will be having different activities that we would like students to take part in. Those activities will be the Tilawat, its translation, hadith and translation, an extract from Rahani Khazain, Nazm and its translation, Urdu speech and an English speech. Okay, so if you would like to take part in any of those activities, we would like you to submit a recording of you reading those taking part in those activities and send a recording to us by Friday 14th of October. So that's this coming Friday. And you can email us on our email ID, which is students@itqa.org.uk. And please ensure that you state your activity that you want to take part in. So for example, Tilawat, along with your student ID and your course ID in the subject box as well. Okay, so for example, if you'd like to take part in Tilawat, we would like you to please send a recording of you reciting this portion of the Holy Quran and send it to the email that I just read out and mention that it's Tilawat. Mention that it's mention your name, your student ID and course ID at the beginning of your recording and also in the subject box of the email, please. So that it makes it easier for us to recognize which activity it is and so that we can contact you later if you are selected. Then if you'd like to read the translation, then this is the translation we'd like you to send a recording of in. And then this is the hadith. This is the translation of the hadith. This is the saying of the Promised Messiah ﷺ that we'd like you to please read out and send a recording in of. This is the Nazm. There is also a link to a YouTube video that you may wish to have a look at and follow that tune and use that to practice with. This is the translation of the Nazm. This is another option. So you have two options of Nazm to choose from. And the recording of that Nazm is also linked below. This is the translation of that Nazm. Then we have an Urdu speech topic and an two English speech topics that you can choose from, and write a speech on that. Your parents can help you. If you have a speech already written on those topics, then you can send us a recording of you reading that speech out. Okay. Remember to mention the activity that you're taking part in, along with your name, your ID, and the course ID as well, and send it by Friday 14th of October, which is this coming Friday. Okay, so not long left. If you are thinking to participate in these activities, then please do send us in those recordings as soon as possible. Okay, this is just for Atfal and Nasirat entries only, please. Okay, and all these activities and everything that I've just mentioned will be available on the Google Drive, and I've just posted that in the chat for you all. So you can click on that link and all the information will be there for you to have a look from. Jazakumullah. Okay, so today is class number 15, and we are going to start off by looking at the rule in focus, and today is more of a revision, and we are revising lesson number 12 and 18 with reference to the Talimul-Qur'an book, of course. So we'll do that quickly, and then we will go into our breakout rooms where we will be covering Surah Ali Imran verses 121 to 126. Inshallah. And then we will come back and I'll set you your homework. And then we expect you to do the homework, please, at the end, after class and in the evening as well. All right, so let's have a look at rules number 12 and 18. Rule number 12 was about sukoon. Okay, so let's have a look and remind ourselves of the rule of sukoon. Sakin letter is a letter carrying a sukoon. Okay, sukoon is a shape like this. Yeah, on top of the lam, we have this shape. This is a sukoon. And a letter carrying a sukoon is called a sakin letter. So for example, this is a sakin lam. A voweled letter is a letter carrying a stroke. So for example, this alif in the yellow box is carrying a stroke of fatha. So this alif is a voweled letter. Okay. A sakin letter joins to the most recent voweled letter. Okay, so the sakin letter will join onto the most recent voweled letter before it. So what we have to do is we have to join the two letters together, the voweled letter and the sakin letter. And how we do that is we have to sound both the voweled letter and the sakin letter as we join them. We have to make sure that we don't rush through and we make the complete sound. Okay, so we have to make sure that we make the complete sound, making sure not to rush through anything. So for example, over here, we have this example. This is a word from the Holy Quran. We have two sakin letters over here. One is lam sakin and one is mim sakin. Let's have a look at lam sakin first. Lam sakin will join on to the most recent voweled letter, which is alif. Alif has a fatha, so it's a voweled letter. Alif will join onto the lam and it will make the sound al, nice and softly, okay? Then we have a sakin mim. It's a mim with a sukoon, so it's a sakin letter. It's a sakin mim, and it will join on to the most recent voweled letter, which is the ha. So ha will join on to mim, and we'll do that nice and softly. Hum, hum. Okay, so al, hum, and then dal with the dhamma, do. Alhamdu. Okay, so we can see we're joining nice and softly, but we're pronouncing all the letters, and we've read that nice and slowly without rushing through anything. Okay, so that's a really important part of pronouncing sakin letters. Nice and slowly, okay? All right, let's move on to now having a look at the rule of combining. This was rule number 18. So it starts off with the same way that we looked at the last rule. So the first step is that a sakin letter is a letter carrying a sukoon. Yeah, we just had a look at that. So if we see a sukoon on a letter, the stroke of the sign of sukoon on a letter, it is called a sakin letter. Now, mutaharrik letter is a letter carrying a stroke. Now, in the previous slide, we saw the word vowed letter. Mutaharrik letter is the Arabic way of saying that, okay? So a mutaharrik letter is a letter carrying a stroke, just like a vowed letter is carrying a stroke as well. They both mean the same thing. Vowed letter, mutaharrik letter. A sakin letter joins on to the most recent mutaharrik letter. Yeah, we saw that in the last slide as well. Sakin letter will join to the most recent mutaharrik letter. So when you see a sakin letter, what you have to do is work back till you find a vowed letter. It may be that the letter just before the sakin letter may not be a vowed letter. Okay, so in that case, what you have to do is you have to work back until you find a vowed letter. And then you would join those two. Okay, you would join that sakin letter to the vowed letter that you've just found. And if, like I said, but just before the sakin letter, if there's not a vowed letter, you have to work your way backwards. But as you work your way backwards, when you join the sakin letter to the vowed letter, you have to ignore any letters that come in between the sakin letter and the vowed letter. So we'll see an example of this just now, but that's the rule, okay? Sakin letter will join onto the most recent mutaharrik or vowed letter, and we will ignore any letters in between them if there are any. Okay, so just again to summarize, if you see a sakin letter, join the most recent mutaharrik or vowed letter and ignore letters in between. Just like this example over here, we have a sakin letter. Lam is the sakin letter because it has a sukoon on top of it. Okay, so we have to find the most recent mutaharrik letter. So let's work our way backwards. This alif, is this a mutaharrik letter? No, it's not, because it's blank. It doesn't have a stroke on it. Let's work our way backwards again. This alif, is this a vowed or mutaharrik letter? No, it's not, because it doesn't have a stroke on it. Okay, let's go back again. This waw, is this a mutaharrik letter? No, it's not, because again, it doesn't have a stroke on top of it. What I mean by stroke is fatha, kasra, dhamma, vertical fatha, vertical kasra, inverted dhamma. These are all types of strokes, okay? So these three letters, they do not have any strokes on them, so they are a mutaharrik letter. They are not a mutaharrik letter. So we work our way backwards again. Ghain. This ghain, is this a mutaharrik letter? Yes, it is, because it has a dhamma on it. So that means that the ghain will join onto the lam. And what we would do is we would ignore these three letters in between. So we would just imagine that they're not there, and we would just join the ghain to the lam. So we would say ghul, ghul. Okay, sometimes when we're reading it, we tend to maybe think we have to elongate the ru and then join it to the lam because there is a waw over here. Yeah, so we have to just be really careful over here that we have to ignore any of these letters, three letters in our pronunciation, and we straight away join the ghain to the lam. Ghul. Okay, so this will be read as yablughul huluma, yablughul huluma. Okay, for example, over here, this is also a sakin letter, but the letter just before it is a mutaharrik letter. So there's no letters in between that we have to ignore. So this would be yab straight away. But in this case, the sakin lam over here, and between the mutaharrik letter, there are some letters. So we have to ignore them in our recitation, in our pronunciation. Okay, so it will be ghul. It will just join simply just as the yab was joined. Ghul. يبلغ الحلم. Okay, so that is the rule of a combining. Okay, so I hope everybody understands that now. And please do take care of this and focus on this as we go forward. Okay. All right, so that is now the end of our first session. We will now go into the breakout rooms where we'll be covering, let me take you back, Surah Al Imran verses 121 to 126. So please kindly cover that in your breakout rooms. Jazakumullah. Please join me back at the end for the homework.